So let's look at the dinosaur Bible timeline with this in mind. If you take the Genesis genealogies that are described as an errant scripture in Luke chapter 3, and you join that with Genesis chapter 5 and 10, you have 3 chapters is really all you need to map back the genealogies that go back about 6,000 years of history. So dinosaurs were created as land creatures on day 6. Then at some point we have the fall and corruption that happened. About 1,656 years after creation, we have the flood. And about 85 different kinds of dinosaurs were preserved on the ark. Sometimes the estimate's a little bit more, sometimes it's a little bit less. I believe AIG's perspective is about 85 different dinosaurs at the family level were on board the ark. After those 85 dinosaur kinds got off of the ark about 4,500 years ago, they went extinct very quickly. Most of them went extinct. Some of them were hunted. They were hungry. The food systems were much, much different. They weren't equipped for a post-flood world. The large varieties probably went out extinct very quickly. Theropods and pterosaurs were probably the longest lasting dinosaur kinds, and I believe they're probably both extinct now. But there's plenty of sightings and legends and rumors and myths about theropod types of dinosaurs and pterosaur types of dinosaurs all the way through the medieval times, and then they tapered after that pretty quickly. So after the flood, we've got, world version number 2. It's a harsh climate. Mass extinctions are happening with the ice age going on, and most dinosaur varieties went extinct pretty quickly. So if you look at just one chapter in the Bible, Job chapter 40, we have not a kind of good, but a great description of a perfectly fitting sauropod dinosaur. In fact, if you go through and you can read this chapter on your own time, I've read it in maybe a dozen different Bible translation versions. We've drilled into the Hebrew of it and talked with experts in Hebrew. It's talking about a sauropod dinosaur. There's really no question about it. And it's not talking about a sauropod dinosaur in some metaphorical way. Here's why. Here's just a few things that we're going to pull out and take a look at. It says that its tail swayed like a cedar tree, and cedar trees are probably 30 to 50 feet tall at the time that was written, and only a sauropod dinosaur has a tail that can.
Wait. Sorry. I'm sorry. Once again, I'm very sorry, guys. I'm kind of distracted today because I'm looking at some other stuff. So I think what this fool's trying to say is that this thing from the thing from Job, I think they call it the which Job was he looking at there? Oh, this is that thing they call it the behemoth, yeah. So he's trying to say that because this thing this thing has a like tail, the tail sways like a cedar tree. It's like a cedar tree. Like doesn't mean it's exactly like that or whatever. What kind of dumb nonsense is this?
Swayed like a cedar tree, and cedar trees are probably 30 to 50 feet tall at the time that was written, and only a sauropod dinosaur has a tail that can sway like a cedar tree. And then the Bible says what strength it has in its loins, what power or in the muscles of its belly. Well, lots of creatures have strong bellies and strong loins, but nothing like a sauropod dinosaur. And then the Bible says the sinews of its thighs are closely knit. Its bones are like tubes of bronze. And did you know that if you take a sauropod's femur and do a cross-sectional cut on it, it absolutely looks like a tube of bronze. It's got a
Wait, what? What is this guy talking about? This guy's trying to say this is so next level dumb. Like I can't believe these guys. This is like when people do this type of thing, it's an insult. It's an insult to the Bible, it's an insult to your intelligence. Okay? But what they're trying to do is make you, first of all, they're trying to make you believe that dinosaurs are real, which I'm sorry to say if you don't understand this, that they're not. Okay? But if you want to believe in dinosaurs, okay, I get it. I get it. Some people believe in dinosaurs. It's totally fine. I'm not trying to tell you that it's unbiblical to believe in dinosaurs or anything like that. I'm not saying that. Okay. So if you want to believe in that, that's totally fine. But if you try to read the Bible like this, right? First of all, you're not understanding how the Bible is read, and secondly, you're trying to do too much with the Bible. The Bible is not trying to tell you that this particular thing, which they can't even prove this thing is ever existed, right? But let's just say you believe that it did. Okay, fine. The Bible's not trying to tell you that this is the thing. You know what I mean? It's just like this is retarded. This is retarded. I hate this type of thing. Yeah? So
circle on the outside of the hard enamel style bone, and then a spongy marrow bone on the inside. So it's absolutely like a tube in its design. And its ribs, the Bible says, are like rods of iron. And sure enough, if you look at the paleontologists have looked at the ribs of sauropod dinosaurs, and they're the only bones in its body that are fully ossified. They are, in fact, hard as iron because they have to hold in the girth of that creature. So they're fully ossified like rods or bars of iron. And of course, a sauropod could stand in a raging river that would not alarm it, and it would be secure in it, even though a river like the Jordan in a flood stage would surge into its mouth. That's just like 6 of the 13 characteristics. But when you go through all of these systematically, you can compare these descriptions in Job chapter 40 against a behemoth sauropod dinosaur. Perfectly fits all 14 descriptions, does not fit a hippopotamus, and does not fit a crocodile, although those last 2 creatures have been used by all kinds of people, including even study Bible notations, to say, well, maybe it was a
I see. Okay, so I guess what they're trying to suggest is that we should be able to identify the behemoth with some kind of real living creature today, or something, or some kind of thing that we have evidence for in the natural world. And if we can't do that, or I don't even know what they're trying to say. I guess so. Some of these study Bibles try to identify the thing with these animals or something like that, or guess, or whatever. Maybe the behemoth is a myth. Maybe the behemoth is not referring to a real creature. Have you ever thought of that? Do we have to identify the behemoth as a real creature in the real world? Why? Maybe he's just you making a point, you know? Like Job is kind of poetic, right? Like you have to understand, a lot of the Bible is very kind of poetic. They're not always trying to make this point about the real world and stuff, you know?
was a hippo, maybe it was a croc. Definitely not. It was a sauropod dinosaur. And God gets the credit for doing this. God says, consider behemoth, which I made along with you. It is the chief of all of my works. That's God, the maker of heaven, saying, this is the biggest, baddest land creature I ever made. And sauropods take that title very, very well. Some of the biggest ones, titanosaurs. There's all kinds of different species. Argentinosaurus, dreadnoughtus that was recently discovered. These creatures can be up to 120 feet long. That's 6 freeway lengths across, and weigh 80, 90, or some say even more than 80 or 90 tons. They're huge creatures, and if it just spins around in one circle, it's got a 250-foot kill zone. So there is no getting next to this creature. Just like God says in Job chapter 40, it's unapproachable by anyone but its maker. You can't even get near this creature. Here's what its femur would look like. That's a gigantic bone. Probably the biggest bones in the world are behemoth. That's a gigantic.
This is what its femur would look like. What do you mean would look like? Okay, so they found. I guess they found this object, and they're trying to claim that this is the femur of a sauropod or whatever. And man, this is so next level dumb.
Bone, probably the biggest bones in the world are behemoth femurs. There's a sauropod footprint, just a massive, massive creature. And here's a guy standing next to a sauropod leg. What design do we see here? We see the hip structure, and beneath that is one solid femur bone that's like a tube of bronze that goes to 2, that goes to 3 or 4, that goes to 5. What a fascinating engineering feat that is, and a way to do weight displacement. If you were an
Well,
engineer, you could
what?
not improve.
Wait. One of the biggest dinosaurs ever found was discovered in Alberta, Canada. What are these guys trying to say? This is not, they didn't find this thing. They just made this thing. This is not even real, dude. What are these guys trying to say, man? They're just trying to tell me that this thing is a real thing, that they found it? What a joke. They found it in Alberta. What a complete joke. Alberta's like the Alberta, Canada is like the source of a lot of these dinosaur bones. It's so dumb.
On that system, going from a hip socket to 1 to 2 to 3 or 4 to 5 into some toes. It's a perfect way to disperse weight of an 80-ton creature that was capable of walking around on dry land. Here's what a diplodocus looks like when you get up close. This is at a
like, this is fake. This is not a real thing. This whole thing is made in a little like it's made out of paper mache and stuff like this. This is not a real thing. They didn't find these bones in the ground or anything. It's so dumb.
museum, and when you zoom in, you can see these chevron bones right underneath its neck. And these chevron bones were like chain links, whereby you could have muscles and tendon and ligament connections, joining them all together in a flexible way so that this animal could bend over and take a drink or eat. And without that amazing design system, it would choke, suffocate, or drown, and as its neck would fold in half. This is an amazing design feature of this creature, and some people that have spent their entire adult lives studying these creatures, Dr. Waddell, a sauropod expert, says, you know what? It's really like the design of a suspension bridge, because you can't have a long neck without a long tail, and you can't have a long tail without a long neck. There's this offsetting that happens when you have compressive loading and tension loading. You got to have those two things to displace the weight. It's an incredible feat of engineering, and its neck system is designed like.
So wait. Okay. So they're trying to say that this neck thing is made like a suspension bridge. Okay. I don't know. Anyway, look, the thing is, like, they're just they're basing their design of these things off of already existing skeletons that we have, like, in the world, such as human skeletons and other spines or whatever that they find, right? Real animals and stuff. But if they're trying to tell me that they found all these bones and they just made this thing, like, I don't believe it, man. Let's look this up. let's just find out about this. Sauropods, complete skeleton. Toronto Raptors. The dinosaur bones are fake. Yeah, the bones are fake, man. So fake. The bones might either be fake or they are real, and they lied about how old they were. Yeah, that's true. I get what you're saying. Real truth. I'm not hating on people who think that. I'm not hating on people who think the dinosaurs are real. Have they ever found yes, complete sauropod skeletons have been found, including the first complete skeleton of a sauropod ancestor and a nearly complete juvenile specimen. However, complete skeleton of sauropods are rare. Okay, let's see this one. Yuzusaurus zunai. The first complete skeleton of a sauropod ancestor was discovered in China. In China, of course. The species lived in South China about 200 years. Listen, they find them all in China because they're fake. China, the home of the bootlegs. No offense, Chinese people. I love you. A nearly complete juvenile skeleton discovered in the United States. This specimen is on display. Let's look at these things, man. These are fake too, man. I'm telling you. But anyway, I get how some people think that they're real. I'm not trying to say you're idiots or anything. The holotype was discovered in 2002. It was excavated near October between October 20th and November 23rd. It consists of a near complete skull and lower jaw, 31 vertebrae, 3 sacral and 5 caudal, shoulder and pelvic girdles, most of both forelimbs and both thighs. The holotype was informally mentioned in 2010. Anyway, look, there ain't really any information on this thing. What a complete fake joke. Let me see this thing. I guess we could look at this. Yeah, there's this idea, right? This idea that before the flood, the Earth's like uh habitat or the environment was just much more kind of I don't know, it's more conducive to like life or whatever. So like it was just more this just like a better environment to be a living creature and to thrive and stuff. So over time, like the animals were just really huge and really big. But then later on, after the flood, the weather and many things were changed in the environment so that a lot of these animals died off. That's the idea. So okay, so if you see this diagram here, these are the bones that they actually found. The ones that are in gray are the ones that they actually found, okay? And the ones that are in oh sorry, what happened there? Oh, let me see this. So these ones that are in gray are the ones that they actually found. And these ones that they drew with the crayon, this is the thing that they didn't actually find it. Okay? So when they actually found it, it looked like this. Or this is what they're claiming. When they actually found the artifact, it looked like this. It was just like it was in the dirt like this. And they dug it up. Okay? That's what they're trying to tell you right now. Okay? I'm not telling you to believe this or anything. I'm just saying this is what they're claiming. Specimen was collected near Dufawang village, the Duafang village. Anyway, man, it's probably fake. Differential diagnosis: a medium-sized sauropod form, distinguished from other non-sauropod and sauropodomorphs with respect to the following unique combination of characteristics. Lateral traits. Anyway, this is a bunch of nonsense, man. Even if these are real bones that they found, or whatever this thing is, whatever this is, right? They're trying to say that this thing became a fossil, quote unquote, over millions of years, quote unquote. Hmm. Interesting. Anyway, I don't really feel the need to believe these things are even real. But even if you want to believe that some of these things are real things, right? Even that doesn't even necessitate the idea that God created them. Okay, for example, just the first thing: if there are some freakish animals like this big, this weird, like reptilian monster beings like this, right? That actually walked around, right? There's no reason to necessarily accept the claim that God made those things and that therefore that they were just part of his design and then they died off or whatever. That's not necessarily, we don't have to believe that. There could be other reasons how they came to be. Maybe the early humans like bred them somehow or something like that. Or this is kind of weird magical gene thing or something. Who knows? We don't even know. I should do a live about why dinosaurs are fake. But anyway, whatever. Who cares? This I'm just saying that this video is an insult to your intelligence because of the way they're trying to interpret the Bible. That's what I don't like about this video. Because they're trying to explain to you that the Bible is trying to tell you that this thing is the behemoth from Job. It's like why are you even trying to do that?
Like this double booms, construction device here. So just incredible stuff, amazing design, and it can go on and on and on as you look at these creatures. But one of the things that I love most about this is a recent discovery that
Yeah,
came
yeah,
out.
yeah. They always say this thing, right? Which is funny how things said this. But anyway, the whole thing of the chickens being related to dinosaurs or birds or whatever, birds are descended from dinosaurs and stuff. That's another dumb thing. Like, so what are they trying to say? So what? Were there no birds back then? Back then in those days, there were no birds. Anyway, I get so anyway, if that whatever, that's dumb. That's like extra dumb, right? But then these guys are not trying to say that though. Hey, Crafty Val, I hope you understand. These guys, what these guys are trying to say is that the dinosaurs were created by God and were brought onto the ark. But then shortly after the flood, they all died off because the weather had changed and other things in the environment had changed, and so they weren't able to stay alive.
Came out over the last 20 years or so, that they're learning that these bones and the vertebrae, the higher you go up the neck, the more and more pneumatic they are, meaning the more filled with air they are. So here we see a 4.5 foot wide sauropod vertebrae, and 90% of the higher ones up the neck would be filled with air like styrofoam.
So this thing is just a rock, right? It's literally just a rock, all right? But what they're saying to you is that this was formerly the bone of a giant lizard, and that over millions of years it became a rock. And then, well, I guess like the people who made this video, they're trying to say that it wasn't over millions of years, that fossilization can take place over like rapidly. It doesn't require millions of years, but that is what that is. That is in fact not just a rock. It is not a rock. It is actually in fact the bone of a giant lizard. That's what they want you to believe. Utterly dumb.
So you see one here on the screen that's a sauropod vertebrae, and you see the white parts are the hard enamel, and then the yellow parts I'm about to fly in would be the air pockets in this area. So you obviously couldn't have a fully ossified sauropod vertebrae way up its neck. It would weigh hundreds
Yeah,
and
yeah,
hundreds
that's
of
what I was
pounds.
trying to say. That's what I'm trying to say, student of the word. That's what real truth is agreeing to as well. Like the idea that I don't know what the technology they had or whatever, but there's reason to believe that they were as advanced or more than us, you know, in terms of technology. And so they're certainly probably much more intelligent than us and also much more long lived, right? And so I mean, you can imagine, like, just think about how much you learned from when you were 10 years old to when you were 20. You know, I think about how much I've learned since I was 20 to now, right? Imagine if you lived to be 800, how much you could learn, right? And not only that, your brain is probably working much better than our brains. Like they're probably more intelligent than us, like Adam and Eve and those type of people. They're probably much more intelligent than us, probably physically stronger and just better physically than we are too. So it's possible that they were able to create advancements that we could never develop now, or we just haven't yet.
Pounds, it'd be too heavy to get around. God knew this, and he programmed in its DNA the way so that the higher up the neck you get, the less and less support structure you need, and as far as being a hardened bone, and the more and more that the less and less weight you could support as you went up there. So these higher up vertebrae were filled with air. They were like styrofoam. Just an amazing design feature. And of course, Job chapter 40, verse 17 says that he moves his tail like a cedar. The sinews of his thighs are tightly knit. And sure enough, paleontologists have studied the femur and the tendons and the muscles and the linking points of these.
They study the femur and the tendons and the muscles and the linking points. Okay, so let me just explain how dumb that is on all the different levels of dumbness that it is. They have some kind of rock thing, right? That they're claiming is a femur of this imaginary drawing that they have here. Okay, and then they're trying to say that, like, obviously this whatever the rock thing that they have doesn't have any sinews on it or muscles or anything like that, right? But this guy's telling you, the paleontologists, they studied the sinews and the muscles and the da 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 da. No, none of that thing that they studied. Not one of those things that they studied. The only thing they have, or they claim they have, is some bone. They're claiming like a bone is even. They have a rock. Okay, they have a rock, and they're claiming it's a bone. And then they're claiming that this part of the bone, oh, this must be where the sinew was linked onto the bone. That's how bones are, you know. Da da da. You know, it's so dumb. It's utterly dumb.
These creatures, and have learned that it would necessarily have to sway its tail as it walked, and no one has ever found a sauropod tail skid mark on the ground. So they're definitely walking along. We have lots of sauropod trackways.
no one's ever found a sauropod skid. That's what he's trying to tell you. This is what this person's trying to tell you, right? Because no one has ever found the skid mark of one of these creatures' tails on the ground, that therefore they must have just walked around with their tail in the air like you see in all these dumb drawings. It's so obvious. Of course, we never found the skid mark, therefore must be that they walked around like that.
But they're walking along and they're holding their tail up, and as they're walking, they're swaying their tails just like the Bible said that they would, because that's exactly where the muscle connecting points would have been, pulling up their tail. So they would, if you walk left and right, it's going to create a tail sway.
Anyway, that was lame as hell. Dinosaurs are fake.
Okay. I'm studying the Bible in Toronto. 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 Studying the Bible with Mike, Sam, Pat. These other YouTubers are just so trash. Hit the thumbs up if you want to support. Go follow Mike as he follows the Lord. I'm studying the Bible in Toronto. 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 You better watch out, Mike's calling out the shills. If you're not free grace, you need to sit down and chill. We're not hyper grace, you know we keep it real. Eternally secure, you know that we're sealed. We don't back low, we're not workspace heretics. Mike's not in it for the money, trying to get a lick. They out here selling their souls for a couple clicks. Becoming Freemasons so they can't just get rich. I'm studying the Bible in Toronto. 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 Shout out to Mike, Sam, Pat. Check out his channel, Toronto Bible Study. Subscribe and like.